What's up guys, it's your boy Chow Balls. Today, I'm going to be showing you my top 5 transitions in After Effects. These aren't in any specific order. Let's get started. Number 1, the wheel spin. First, you'll want to set your anchor point to the center of the wheel. Then you'll want to stabilize motion. Make sure you select the high contrast area to track, then apply that. Set a keyframe for the position, scale, and rotation. You'll want to scale up your video. You'll also want to rotate it and position it how you want it. Then you'll go to the last keyframe and adjust the rotation so that it lines up with the first frame. You'll also want to reduce the scale so it zooms out. Then you'll want to add a motion tile to remove any of the edges. Select the mirror edge option, expand the height and width, and that'll look like this. Second, the cutout transition. I'm using 3 clips for this one. Go to the first frame of the second and third clip and save the frame. Then go ahead and render that. You can open it in Photoshop and cut out the background. I'll go ahead and do this for both pictures. You can also do this on an iPhone. All you'll need to do is tap and hold on the subject and it'll highlight it. Then import those cutouts into your project. Shorten those down to how long you want the transition. Then you'll go to the last frame, make a keyframe. Then you'll go to the first keyframe and you can shrink the scale down. Then you'll want to go to the graph editor and give it a speed ramp. Make sure you're using the edit speed graph option. Go ahead and do this to the second image as well. Make sure that you enable motion blur. Third, the seamless transition. You'll want to take 2 clips where the last frame lines up pretty similar to the first frame of your second clip. You'll just want to overlap the clips by a frame or 2. And on the top frame, you'll want to reduce the opacity so you can see both frames. This will make it a lot easier to line up. And then go ahead and adjust the scale and position of that clip and line it up with your second clip. Then bring the opacity back up. Move the second clip so that it lines up with the end of the first clip. And that will look like this. Fourth, speed ramp transitions. You want to enable time remapping. It should default a first keyframe and then set a keyframe just a few frames from the end of the clip. Set another keyframe before that. This will determine the slow part. Then drag those over about half a second from the very first keyframe. I'm going to make this a reverse clip, so I'm going to duplicate the first keyframe and set that about half a second after the last keyframe. Then you'll want to click on your graph editor, grab the little handle of this keyframe and drag it to the side and down. This will create this slope. Then you'll want to take the first handle and drag it all the way over so that it starts at the peak of the ramp. Then you'll go to one at the end of the slow part and you'll do basically the opposite. Then you'll want to shorten that clip down to the last keyframe. Make sure that you enable motion blur and then bring your next clip over. You'll want to repeat that same process. Mark the first keyframe and a keyframe a few frames from the end. Then you'll want to scrub through and find the part that you want to slow down. We'll set 2 keyframes. Then you'll select the last 3 keyframes and drag them over about half a second from the first keyframe. And then you'll take the last keyframe and drag it to about half a second away from the second to last keyframe. Then you'll go to the graph editor and you'll make those 2 ramps basically the same way as the first one. Go ahead and shorten that clip down and bring over the third clip. So you'll want to make the first and last keyframe again, and then you'll want to make a second keyframe where you want the ramp to end. Then you'll drag those over to half a second from that first keyframe. Go to the graph editor and make the same type of ramp. Then I'll copy the time and I'll change the composition settings to shorten the time so that it's the length of the 3 clips. And that will look like this. 5, the shake transition. First, make an adjustment layer and bring that to the top. Shorten that down for the duration that you want the shake in between the 2 clips. Add the wiggle effect. Set a couple of keyframes for the wiggle effect. Play around with the wiggle to where you want it. Then you'll add motion tile to the first clip. Mirror the edges. Expand the output width and height. And then you can copy that motion tile to the other clips as well. Now you'll just want to duplicate the adjustment layer, and then you want to bring it over to where you want the other transition. Make any tweaks to where that is. Play around with the wiggle and find the intensity that you like, and then that will look like this. And those are my my top 5 transitions in After Effects. If this helped you, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.